For over 5 decades, the British prison system has housed a man who is less an inmate and more a force of nature. A man who has turned his own body into a weapon and his cell into a fortress. Hi everyone, my name is Adam, and today we're not just looking at a criminal record, we're descending into the mind of a man who built his legend in a concrete cage. The story of Frank, the King, Carson, is a terrifying journey into the making of a monster. It's a case study of how a system designed to break men down can, in a perfect storm of rage and rebellion, forge one into a living symbol of violent, unstoppable chaos. Frank Carson, dubbed the King by the tabloids and Cataclysm by prison staff, has spent 48 of his 68 years behind bars. Originally sentenced to 7 years for a bungled armed robbery in 1975, his sentence has been extended indefinitely due to his relentless violence. He has been moved through over 130 prisons, spending the vast majority of that time in solitary confinement. He has taken 11 hostages, assaulted countless prison officers and inmates, and caused millions of pounds in damage. He is, by any measure, the most violent and disruptive prisoner in the system's history. But Frank, the King, Carson wasn't born in a cell. He was born Francis Caldwell in the bleak, working-class town of Blackwood in 1956. His father, a miner, was a hard man who believed in harder discipline. His mother, overwhelmed and timid, could offer little protection. Frank's childhood was a masterclass in humiliation and pain. He was a small, dyslexic boy who struggled in school, a target for bullies both in the playground and at home. And this is the crucial, terrifying origin point. Frank Carson wasn't born a monster. He was forged by a world that told him he was worthless. The violence he experienced as a child became the only language he understood, the only tool he had to command respect. Prison didn't create his rage, it just gave it a concrete arena. Frank found his power not in books, but in his body. He began weightlifting obsessively, transforming his scrawny frame into a mountain of muscle. He took up bare-knuckle boxing in underground fights, earning a reputation and a new name, Carson, after the town where he won his most brutal fight. The scared Francis Caldwell was gone. In his place was Frank Carson, a man who demanded fear because he had never known love. His criminal career was as unremarkable as it was short-lived. The 1975 robbery was his first major offense, a desperate act for money and status. He was sentenced to 7 years. It was a sentence that should have been the end of Frank Carson. Instead, it was the beginning of the King. Prison was a world built on hierarchies maintained by violence. For Frank, it was a familiar language. When he was tested, he didn't just fight back. He unleashed a feral, overwhelming fury that shocked everyone. He discovered a profound truth. In a world of rules, the truly unpredictable man holds all the power. He wasn't just fighting to win, he was fighting to erase the ghost of the weak boy he once was. The assaults began almost immediately. A guard who spoke to him with disrespect found his nose broken. An inmate who tried to intimidate him was left with permanent injuries. Frank Carson wasn't just serving a sentence, he was waging a one-man war against the entire institution. This is the moment the inmate became an icon. He realized that the system's greatest weakness was its need for order. And Frank Carson was the embodiment of chaos. Every punch he threw wasn't just against a person, it was a declaration of war on the very concept of control. He wasn't trying to escape the walls, he was trying to prove the walls were meaningless. His reputation exploded. He began to cultivate his persona. He shaved his head, grew a thick mustache, and covered his body in crude, self-inflicted tattoos depicting symbols of strength and anarchy. He started referring to himself in the third person. "The King wants his exercise," he'd growl. "The King isn't eating this slop." The authorities responded the only way they knew how: isolation. They moved him from prison to prison, each time to a more secure unit, each time hoping a new environment would break him. But it only made him stronger. Solitary confinement, designed to crush the human spirit, became his throne room. In the void of solitary, Frank Carson built a kingdom. He developed a brutal fitness regimen, performing over 5,000 press-ups a day, honing his body into a perfect weapon. His mind, however, was a more complex battlefield. He began writing rambling, poetic, and often threatening manifestos. He drew disturbing, yet strangely compelling, cartoons. He was, by turns, a philosopher, a poet, and a psychopath. According to prison psychologists' reports, Carson displayed a pathological need for autonomy and a deeply ingrained paranoia. He saw every offered hand as a potential fist, every rule as a personal insult. The man was disappearing, consumed by the myth of the king. The hostage takings were his masterpieces. They weren't just escapes gone wrong, they were theatrical productions. In 1990, during the infamous Strange Ways riot, he took 2 officers hostage, holding them for 18 hours. He didn't make grand demands for freedom. His demands were for a helicopter full of fish and chips, a pet parrot, and the resignation of the Home Secretary. They were absurd, impossible demands, designed not to be met, but to mock the very process of negotiation. During one siege, he reportedly told a negotiator, "You have your world. I have mine. And in my world, I am God." When the elite SAS-trained riot squad finally stormed his location, they found him not hiding, but waiting, shirtless and covered in sweat, having done press-ups to prepare for the fight. He took down 3 highly trained officers before he was subdued. Think about that. In the middle of a life-or-death situation, his primary goal wasn't to win. It was to perform. To solidify his legend. The hostage takings were his press conferences, the riots his stage. He was curating his own infamy, proving that even in chains, his will was the most powerful force in the room. The cost of containing Frank Carson is incalculable. Special cell extraction teams, clad in riot gear, are deployed just to move him from his cell for a shower. A single one of these operations can cost thousands of pounds. He has been held in a custom-built Supermax unit for the past 15 years, a concrete box within a concrete box, where he is monitored 24 hours a day. Yet, even in this sensory vacuum, his rebellion continues. He floods his cell by stuffing his toilet with bedding. He smears his own feces on the walls. He barks like a dog for days on end to disrupt the silence. He has learned to weaponize his own bodily functions. And here is the paradox that haunts everyone who has studied him. Buried deep within the beast is a flicker of something else. His art, while often violent, shows genuine talent. His writings reveal a man capable of deep, if twisted, introspection. In rare, unguarded moments with a single psychiatrist he tolerated, he spoke of his childhood with a raw pain that suggested the boy, Francis, was still in there, screaming from the depths of the monster he became. This is the final, chilling layer to Frank Carson. He is not a simple animal. He is a highly intelligent, self-aware architect of his own nightmare. He knows he is a monster. He has embraced it. The tragedy is that he also knows, on some level, that the monster was created to protect a boy who was hurt too much. He is both the arsonist and the burning house. Now 68 years old, Frank the King Carson remains in his specialized cell. His body is older, the press-ups are slower, but his spirit remains unbroken. Parole hearings are a formality. He openly tells the board he has no remorse and would do it all again. The system does not know what to do with him. He is too old and institutionalized for the outside world, and too dangerous and symbolic to ever be released. He has become a dark folk hero, a symbol of ultimate, uncompromising rebellion. To other prisoners, he is a legend. To the guards, he is a recurring nightmare. To the system, he is an unsolvable problem. He has not felt the grass under his feet or the rain on his face for over 4 decades. He has no family who will claim him. He has no friends. His entire world is 12 feet by 8. And in that world, he is still the king. Frank Carson's story is the ultimate cautionary tale. It shows us the terrifying human capacity for rage. It forces us to ask a difficult question. When does a man stop being a man and become a force of nature? And what is our responsibility in creating that monster? He is a product of his past, a rebel against his present, and a warning for our future. The system could contain his body, but it could never break his will. Frank, the King Carson, is a living monument to the fact that some men would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. And his hell is one he built with his own 2 hands, one shattered piece of prison furniture at a time. Subscribe to my channel for more true chilling crime stories like this.